Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webcasts, Managing Your Power BI Reports and Datasets. My name is Jay Pradhan, and I'm joined by my colleague Akshay Chaturvedi. We are BI and data analytics consultants at Thurman and have drawn on our experience and expertise to bring you today's presentation. Feel free to get in touch with us via our contact details on the screen if you wish to have a longer discussion about today's topic. Our agenda for today will start with a brief introduction to Tharacode. We will then set context by looking at the importance of managing your Power BI reports and datasets. We'll then compare a Power BI dataset with Azure Analysis Services tabular models. We'll then look at a short demo of how you can move from an Azure Analysis Services model to a Power BI dataset. And finally, we will also look at the various challenges and learnings from this exercise. So hope you find the session useful. For those of you who don't know Tharacode, we are an independent niche BI and analytics services firm, including strategy and roadmaps, requirements, design, implementation, and training and support. We are headquartered out of London with offices all over the world. Our clients typically span 4 data-rich verticals: consumer goods, pharmaceutical and health services, banking, and insurance, with experience across the board in various functions of these verticals. As I've mentioned, we are independent in that we don't work with one specific technology. Instead, we partner with a wide array of technology firms in business intelligence and analytics market, including back-end, front-end, analytics-driven technologies. We find this independence is useful to have a holistic view of the space, understand our customers regardless of their current data landscape, and identify the best possible solution for our customers based upon their needs. We've been a gold partner in relevant specialties with Microsoft for over 20 years. We have a seat on Microsoft's Partner Advisory Council, which provides us with insight into Microsoft's product and services roadmap in this space. Also a platform for feedback in terms of what we are experiencing in the market. Globally, we host a range of marketing, often educational marketing events on Microsoft's BI and analytics platforms and tools. You can also navigate to our website or YouTube page for videos on other Microsoft BI and broader BI topics like Databricks for advanced analytics. You can stay abreast of upcoming events in London or online via our events page. We've also been featured in Microsoft's Power BI Partner Showcase, which is a resource Microsoft have made available to highlight the art of the possible in Power BI, having partners create dashboards that are available to view. We are a cloud solution provider, meaning we can host clients' cloud infrastructure within the Tharacode environment. Now let's look at some of the key aspects of managing your Power BI reports. The Microsoft Power BI service, sometimes referred to as Power BI Online, is a software as a service component of Power BI. In Power BI Desktop, we clean and combine data and build reports and dashboards, as you might be aware. Power BI Service, on the other hand, is designed for consuming services where we view and interact with dashboards, and it's much more geared towards collaboration and sharing. The typical workflow you might tend to follow is develop your reports in Desktop, publish your reports in Service. Service allows you to control how you share information. Here we are creating workspaces, building them into apps, and then publishing and sharing those apps. The Power BI service is a collection of software services, applications, and connectors that work together to help you create and consume reports and business insights. This is perhaps a simple diagram, but hopefully it conveys a bigger picture. Once report authors are happy with the reports, they can publish to the app workspace, click within Power BI to start creating a dashboard. Within the workspace, users can be added and designated as read-only to allow further testing of the content if needed. Each workspace will contain the reports and the associated data sources that power the reports. When the content is verified, the report authors can publish an app from the app workspace. All content within a workspace is bundled into the app. Appropriate permissions can be provided to users via admin groups. App consumers or end users will not be able to modify or change any content within the app. The separation between an app workspace and an app means that report authors can further continue to refine the dashboard without affecting end users who are using the application. When a new version is ready to be shared, authors can republish the app to push changes through to end users. In addition, you can now select which dashboards and reports you want to publish to the app. So if some reports if some reports are completely ready for distribution, you can make them available. However, if some reports and dashboards are still under development or testing, you can hold those back and keep them from being published. When they are ready to go, you can republish the app with the additional content included. Another nice feature is that if you set up a scheduled refresh or manual refresh the data associated with the app, the refresh automatically flows through to the app without having to make any intermediate steps. One important thing to note is that your app consumers will require either a pro license or the workspace that the app is published from will have to exist within the premium capacity in order for consumers to access and consume an app without a license. We expect the workflow of app spaces and apps to continue to evolve over time. Some additional functionality that we are expecting to see in the future includes the ability to add AD groups to app workspaces. Today, you can only add individuals. Push apps to end users. Today, you have to be sent a URL or find the app through app source, which allows you to browse apps within the organization. In the future, we also expect to be able to copy or move dashboards, reports, and datasets across workspaces. We've listed down some of the licensing options that are available within Power BI because these are of a lot of interest to Power BI users. So a lot of you will be aware of Power BI Desktop. It's a free application, but there are limitations to sharing. The Power BI Pro licensing scheme is at $10 a month with for 10 GB storage. It allows sharing and collaboration. Power BI Premium is a designated capacity, and there are price ranges for different sizes of capacity. And user licenses are part of this licensing agreement as well, and it allows you to provide licenses to super users, consumers, depending on your requirements. Power BI have recently launched a premium per user scheme, which is I think about $20 per user per month. It gives you access to paginated reports, advanced AI features, as well as data flows. Hopefully, this gives you a sense of the landscape within the licensing. Based on our experience, we are seeing Power BI growing within organizations in a couple of different ways. With widespread awareness and buzz that exists with Power BI, it isn't uncommon that you have pockets of power users or analysts interested in exploring and playing with the tool. This small group tends to grow as they attract attention of people they grow with. This increasing usage requires a response from IT to evaluate the tool and define a strategy. Another path that we have seen play out is where central strategy is defined by technology or IT group. And then they work out a process to roll this out to different parts of the organization. Obviously, these aren't mutually exclusive paths and could certainly occur in parallel. But no matter how it starts, the objective is to successfully roll out Power BI to all parts of the organization. enable global adoption, and empower users to derive value from this platform. No matter what scenario is playing out in your organization and or where in the journey you are, there are some key considerations that are useful to keep in mind to guarantee success. With this, I do a quick demo of the Power BI service so that the concepts that we saw before in terms of workspaces, app workspaces, can be crystallized further. As you can see on your screen, this is my home screen. So I've navigated to app.powerbi.com. And this is the layout that is available. So this is my home screen. It's got all of my recent applications and my recommended apps as well. So I have navigated to my workspaces, and I've got 3 workspaces here. So this is a premium capacity workspace. So this is signified by the diamond that you can see over here. Let me start off with a normal workspace. So once I go into my workspace, you can see I've got all of my content. So I've got my reports, I've got my dashboards, and I also have my data sets and workflows. What my workspace allows me to do is provide access and manage permissions at a report level. So I can go in, manage permission, and then add users for my dashboards or my reports. What I can also do, interestingly, is I can update an app from here, or even create an app by selecting what reports I want to add to an application. So that is some of the capabilities that are useful within a workspace. Workspace concept from a governance standpoint is really useful for segregating all of the content and managing all of the content that is published onto Power BI by creating workspaces for specific parts of your organization. You can manage content relevant to users through workspaces. Let's look at applications. So once I've created an app through my workspace, currently what Power BI requires you to do is to go into the app workspace and search for an app, and hopefully then once that app is available within the app workspace, download that so that it will be made available to you. So let me just show you what an app looks like. So I've got a sales analysis app, for example, which has got multiple screens. So it's got a sales analysis screen, and it's got a set of reports on here. And then I've got a sales order screen and a salesperson directory scheme. So I've just bought all of these reports together and published them as an app called Sales Analysis. So hopefully this gives you a flavor of what Power BI service looks like and what the workspace and the app universe looks like and how to manage that. Governance is a key portion of managing your reports. Just like working with any other tool, laying down some basic design and development guidelines encourages consistency in ways of working and how applications are named and how they are behaving. It also helps provide some starting point or framework for those working with the tool for the first time. Taking the example of naming standards, ensuring consistent names helps with those who manage and govern the platform better, understand what's been published, who has been publishing it. But why do you need this is something that would come under the broader umbrella of your governance strategy. And this takes us to auditing and performance monitoring. Only if you know how your platform is used, by whom and how much, can you explain and plan for the future. For example, if your usage of late has been increasing, maybe there is a need to scale out your architecture. Or if the usage isn't as much, perhaps you want to turn it all down. Are your reports meeting your performance standards? Obviously, this may be driven either by application design or platform constraints, but having access to data and metrics will help you identify the root cause easier. At the end of the day, you want to be aware of what's going on so you can be more proactive than reactive, so your users have a seamless user experience. Power BI definitely offers a lot of capability out of the box, but not everything is available and perhaps not at the level of granularity and interactivity that you'd like. This information is, however, available via APIs. Do you go down a custom application route or wait for Power BI to release capabilities? There are definitely interesting questions to think about.
Thank you, Jay. Hello, everyone. In this next section, we will understand some of the advantages of using Power BI datasets and how we can manage them effectively. Power BI datasets allow us to reuse our model across multiple reports, which means we can have different people handling data modeling and report creation in parallel. Each dataset has its own set of permissions, which are managed in the Power BI service. Similar to what Jay was showing you earlier, these permissions are separate from workspace permissions and separate from sharing operations. Dataset owners can provide admin, read, or build permissions to individual users or to different AD groups. Power BI provides users with different options to adopt for dataset refresh, and these are performing refresh on demand, setting up and performing incremental refresh, which is a very popular feature in Power BI because it allows you to refresh large data sets quickly and as often as you need, without having to reload historical data each time. Power BI also provides you an ability to perform scheduled refresh. It's a feature in Power BI that allows you to define the frequency and the time slots to refresh a particular data set. Scheduling the refresh of the data will save you time because you don't have to manually refresh the data. It also ensures that the users can access the most up-to-date data at any given point of time. An important question that a user might come across is, should I build a semantic model in Power BI or in analysis services tabular model? So let's look at some key considerations users should focus on while answering these questions. Power BI Premium is the focus for enterprise BI and primary target for future investments. Some of the key considerations to think about is size of your data. So in standard Power BI, there is a size limit of 1 GB. But with Power BI Premium, that does jump up to 10 GB, as Jay was mentioning earlier. With Azure Analysis Services or Tabular model, there is no hard limit on the data set size, but it is bound by the RAM of your server or the Azure resources that you are using on the VM or the cloud. Security. In Power BI, generally the same people who are building the reports are the same people who are going to be implementing the security features, such as row level security. So it is managed within the report development umbrella. Whereas in analysis services, it is managed outside of the report development. Cost. Power BI Premium is licensed by capacity, and you pay for as much dedicated capacity as you need. When you pay for Power BI Premium, that includes all your visualizations, modeling, data storage, etc. Azure Analysis Services, on the other hand, is available in developer, basic, and standard service tiers. Within each tier, there exist several other instance types which differ in terms of processing and memory options, which in turn depends on the data and the query processing workload that you have. With a few exceptions, Power BI Premium provides a superset of the capabilities available in Azure Analysis Services. In time, these exceptions will be eliminated, making Power BI Premium a clearly superior choice when considering capabilities alone. We'll quickly move on to see a short demo on how you can migrate or deploy your analysis services tabular model as a Power BI dataset to a premium workspace. I will switch my screen and take you to a tabular editor. We will start off by connecting to a tabular model and checking the compatibility level listed in the database properties. So I'm currently connected to a data model. To check the compatibility level, we can click on the model and see the database property, which is set to 1200 right now. For able to publish or deploy an analysis services model to Power BI Premium, we need to change the compatibility level to 1500 or more. So I will quickly close this model and show you how we can change the property. So you can open up the Tableau model file or the .tmf file that will be available where where the analysis services model is being placed in the local folders. You can open the file using a notepad or notepad++. What we will do here is we will change this compatibility level to 1520. Save the model and close it. Now, if we switch back to Tabular editor and reopen the data model, what we will check and confirm that the compatibility level has changed to 1520, and it says that it is now compatible with Power BI. Our next step would be to deploy this solution to a Power BI Premium workspace. To do that, we click on Model, Deploy. Click on Next. To deploy the analysis model to Power BI service, we need to provide the server path. We will be using XMLA endpoint, which can be found on the Power BI Premium workspace. I'll quickly switch to our workspace and show you how you can get the XMLA endpoint. As Jay was showing you the workspace, we have the Premium Demo workspace, which is a premium workspace, which is indicated by the diamond sign. So you can go to the Settings tab, click on the Premium tab with it, and you should be able to find the workspace connection. We need to copy this and switch back to our Tableau model. We provide the connection detail here, and the security mode will be integrated. It will take a couple of seconds to establish the connection. As you can see, it provided me the name of the current database that is already present on the workspace. For the demo purposes, we will call this as AdventureWorks Demo. When we hit on Next, this next tab enables you to select what are the different objects that you want to deploy onto Power BI Premium Workspace. You can choose between the model structure, the data sources, various partitions that are available, partitions that are governed by incremental refresh policies, the model roles, and even it allows you to deploy the model role members. For the demo purposes, we'll just select the deploy model structure. Once we have provided all these details, it's time to deploy the solution. As you can see in the summary, it will let you know to which Power BI service version it is getting deployed, what is the XMLA endpoint, the organization, workspace, and the database name. While this is getting deployed, we discussed that we will be providing an XMLA endpoint. So let's understand what is an XMLA endpoint. Workspaces use the XML for analysis XMLA protocol for communication between the client applications and the engine that manages your Power BI workspace and data sets. These communications are through what are commonly referred to as XMLA endpoint. By default, Read-only connectivity using the endpoint is enabled for the dataset's workload in a capacity. With read-only data visualizations, applications and tools that query dataset model, metadata, events, and schema. Whereas the read-write operations using the endpoint can be enabled by providing additional dataset management, governance, and additional semantic modeling abilities. With read-write enabled, datasets have more parity with Azure Analysis Services and SQL Server Analysis enterprise-grade tabular modeling tools and processes. Now let's move on to today's last topic and understand some learnings and advantages of managing your Power BI datasets on Premium Workspace. So the key learnings to take away from managing your Power BI datasets are Power BI Premium will offer a superset of what an Azure Analysis Services has to offer today. The ability to share Power BI content without purchasing a per user license. The support for data residency by region. And the improvements being made on the XML endpoints will make a huge difference and provide more flexibility to Power BI datasets, both in design and connectivity aspects. Thank you for joining today. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. Thank you and have a great day.